Hello, Heckling fandom. It is the most famous duo in fantasy football history, JJ and Ryan. Ron appears to be more inactive than Christian McCaffrey this season, so we're rolling with two. It's time for garbage time. All right, what's up, guys? How you doing today, Ryan?
Good. Just ready for the Patriots to secure another W tonight. So
I like the matchup.
Yeah,
Mac Jones is a hot topic this week. Mac Jones or Justin Fields?
Mac Jones, easy choice. Easy choice. The fact that the league just handed him to Bill Belichick just is hilarious.
Oh, it's interesting for sure. With that being said, we are gonna boogie along here as we got to ensure that Ryan is able to make it to the game. So with that, let's get into some news.
News updates.
First, let me just quickly ask Sua, what was wrong with the title? We just want to figure that out. But anyways, let's roll on into news.
If there's anything wrong, it is all Joe's fault, though.
It is Joe's fault.
Just wanna.
He's the title guy.
On him. Take no responsibility.
You did
Brady against Falcons
against the Falcons. Is this true?
Oh my gosh, Joe.
Is this true?
Yes.
Joe.
Embarrassing.
I didn't even catch it. It's the second time he's done that.
I fixed it. I mean, Joe, no one wishes Brady was still on the Patriots more than me, but you got to let it go. We moved on. We got Matt Jones out there slinging it. And I think he will be fantasy relevant this week, actually. So there's my 2 cents on that.
All right. Well, now that Sua saved us from Joe's fuck up, let's get in the news. I think the biggest piece of news today was Antonio Brown's former chef claiming that he forged a COVID vaccination card. Obviously, a very serious allegation that could result in a penalty for either him or the team. However, since that allegation came out, Tampa has come out with a statement that they collected all the COVID vaccine cards and verified them, and they didn't identify any discrepancies. So for now, it doesn't seem like anything's going to come of this.
I don't understand that, like, they're saying they checked Antonio Brown's vaccination card so they know it's legit, but Aaron Rodgers lied for like 10 weeks and didn't have a card or anything, and just no one knew. So I don't know what their process is, but he only got like a $14,000 fine, and that was it.
Yeah, $14,000. CeeDee Lamb got the $20,000 for his jersey being untucked.
Yeah, like I think Goodell just throws a dart at a dartboard with like a bunch of different money amounts on it, and that's just what he finds them.
And the Packers have their own separate dartboard for the league, so there's that.
Salty Bears fan.
Edward's here. He can tell you. Edward was asking where you're at, Ryan. He's a fan of the Warner takes, so I'm sure Edward can tell you all about the Packers. One more question real quick before we roll. From Sua, start James Conner or A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, A.J. Dillon, I think, definitely.
No, Aaron Jones, and every time Dillon gets his opportunities, he seems to shine. Next bit of news, talking about Edwards Lions here. Jared Goff has an oblique injury, and the Lions are unsure if he's going to be able to go. Sounds like Tim Boyle will be the next man up for that team. So Not exactly the dream backup quarterback, but it is news. So
And it's not great for my boy Hutchinson that popped out a goose egg last week, and it's not looking good for this week. The inconsistency is bad enough with Goff, so it's probably even worse with this backup coming in. So you might want to pivot from him if you can.
never know. A lot of times backups will heavily. We saw Mike White do it for the Jets, but heavily check down to the backs and tight ends. So you never know. But yeah, either way, the Lions are lying. Next piece of news: Alvin Kamara is still out of practice with his sprained MCL. It is not looking good from the reports that I have read and some of the fantasy doctors I watch on YouTube. It sounds like there's a solid chance he misses another week, and Mark Ingram is RB1 for the Saints again. What are your thoughts on this?
He had a good game last week. I think he put up like 20 points. He was heavily involved in the passing and the rushing work. I think he's very viable in fantasy if you have him on your team if Kamara's out. I mean, I know I'll definitely be starting him in my one if Kamara's definitely out.
Yep, I agree. And the last bit of news I have is Elijah Mitchell. He had the finger injury, and he had the surgery earlier in the week. He was at practice today, but in a non-contact jersey. So it'll be something to monitor. I know in our league I added Jeff Wilson to Joe's dismay. Just in the event that Elijah or Eli Mitchell, as everyone's calling him now, misses the game, I think Jeff Wilson's very fantasy viable. We've seen him past couple years kind of step in for the 49ers and fill in nicely, so I think he would do that in a good matchup versus the Jaguars. So
yeah, and then just one other thing, I think I saw that they're getting more confident that Kyler Murray should start.
yes.
Probably have a backup plan just in case it sucks that he's a clock game, but it's looking positive that he'll be back.
Yeah, I think there's probably a bit of a rush to get him back after last week's disaster. They're trying to get back that one seed that the Packers took from them. So, yeah. Anyways, I think this is the what?
We got one question. You think Barkley, Kyler, and James Robinson will play? I think James Robinson's definitely playing. Is what the reports sound like. It sounds like Kyler is pretty likely to play, and Barkley, it's almost like I'm hearing 50-50 on. I haven't heard a definitive one either way.
Yeah, my gut tells me that the three of them will play. I talked about a little bit Tuesday, but this would be like the first game ever for the Giants that they had all their weapons in one game. I think Shepard's going to play too, so Jones would have Shepard, Galladay, Tony, Evan Ingram, and Barkley. So I think they probably want to make that happen in a primetime game versus the Bucs, who they gave a tough time last year. So I do think those three play, Sua.
Who do you think is probably the best wide receiver on the Giants if they're playing? Who's probably the best one to have? Like, who do you think the wide receiver one is in that offense?
We've seen flashes from Tony and Galladay, but consistency-wise, I think it's Sterling Shepard. Every time he's in,
I agree.
Jones just seems to hyper-target him. So if he's active and you have him, I would definitely play him. And your flex, obviously, because he's on Monday night. Another point, don't start any Thursday night guys in your flex tonight. If you have, who would you have? Not Patterson. Cordero Patterson's out tonight, by the way. Maybe Harris or Mac Jones.
Jacoby Myers, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I guess you wouldn't start Mac Jones in your flex, but yeah, Jacoby Myers. All right. With that being said, let's get into these picks. I guess they're not really picks. They're just covering the games. So we probably should update that. Either way, let's quickly cover the game tonight. So we have the steaming New England Patriots heading to Atlanta, and I'll let the Pats fan take this one.
Yeah, so Matt Jones finally coming into his own. Had a really good game last week. We had the running game down. I think our offense is finally finding its groove. We've opened up the playbook a bit for Matt Jones. Jacoby Myers finally got a touchdown. Um, they're getting the Hunter Henry involved a ton. So I think we're looking really good. The Falcons are coming off a pretty brutal loss where they couldn't get any offense going at all.
They got
I
a
mean,
front
Dallas's
hand and a
defense is
backhand from the Cowboys.
yeah, and the Cowboys defense is pretty good, but I would say the Patriots defense is right up there with them. So it's another tough Patriots defense that forces turnovers, and the Patriots aren't ones to turn the ball over. So I think the game could get away from them pretty quickly if you start seeing turnovers. They are still without Calvin Ridley, so Bill's going to take away their best weapon. And I mean, aside from Kyle Pitts, I don't think they really have much that could blow the game out of the water. Cordell Patterson's their X factor, and they don't have him. So I think it'll be tough.
Yeah, another piece of news I kind of missed, I guess, the Falcons put Hayden Hurst on IR as well. And he's kind of always in the mix every week. So that's just another target that Matt Ryan loses. So, a question from a host here. Russell Gage, more than 40 yards tonight.
Ooh.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say yes because Bill's going to force him to have to throw it to the guys that typically haven't been getting a ton of work.
It's going to take away Pitts.
Take away Pitts. There's no Cordell. They got to throw it somewhere. So I would say yes.
All right. Last question on this game. You're starting a running back up. We just kind of talked about this beforehand, but are you starting Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson?
I think Harris, just because it was kind of his job before he got injured. As a fantasy manager, I'd be a little bit nervous if Bill kind of goes to a running back committee because of how well Stinson performed. And then you always got Brandon Bolden there too that could come in and just steal work. So it's definitely a tough three-way split there, and you never know what Bill's going to do either.
No, you don't. All right.
Do you think?
And I agree, by the way, Harris.
Do you think Wayne Gallman has a fantasy relevant game?
Yes. Have seen him back when he was on the Giants kind of fill a pass catcher role as a back.
Yep.
And Mike Davis has been less than spectacular. I would not be surprised if they just handed the keys to Gallman tonight and let him try and be the guy, as Mike Davis has been slow, ineffective, and predictable. So, I think he could definitely be relevant. Edward, has there been an update from Ridley? Is he for sure sitting out the rest of the year? Yeah, no new update since he announced that he's stepping away from the game. So
yeah, they asked the head coach about it a few days ago, and he basically said he's not going to comment on that, and Ridley will speak about it when he's ready and wants to. So really, we're in the dark a ton. I hope he comes back because I did trade for him when the news came out that he was stepping away. I got him really cheap. I got him for Emmanuel Sanders, who was kind of just on my bench. So it'd be pretty sweet if he did come back in time for the for fantasy football playoffs. So I'm hoping he comes back.
yeah, I don't know. Whatever he's going through, hopefully he gets better and it comes back. But it's a tough situation for the Falcons because last week they were the 7th seed in the NFC, and they keep losing all these weapons, and it's only getting harder from here. So
it's very hard for them to compete without Ridley there. I mean, it's a ton of that offense went through them, and they've won what only 3 games since he left.
Yep.
How many weeks has he been out?
I don't know. They've actually been okay since he's been out, but
I guess they have now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So who knows? They're gonna take an L tonight, though.
We shall see. These Thursday night games get weird. All right, let's get rolling here. First game on my list because they're my team on ESPN. Ravens at the Bears. I guess I'll lead on this one. The Bears defense has been very underwhelming. Khalil Mack has not practiced this week, and Eddie Jackson he did not participate, and he was limited today. So they're banged up on defense, and they've been gashed by the run. Lamar Jackson has missed the last 2 practices with an illness that's not COVID related, but the way the Bears have been tackling lately on defense, he could definitely have a big day. Which means I like Fields a little bit as a streaming option. If you have Stafford, who's on a bye this week, maybe put Fields in. The last 2 weeks, Fields is the yards per carry leader in the NFL over Jonathan Taylor and Lamar Jackson himself. So he's really been utilizing his legs, and it's made the offense a lot better. So he's definitely a viable streamer.
Justin Fields or Matt Jones?
You know my answer. Talent-wise, physical ability, it's Fields. He just has to get in an offense. But Fields scored higher than him in the intelligence stuff and the combine. It's just all the pieces are there. David Montgomery, I like him this week. You can run on the Ravens, so he's viable. And he's only 5,500 on DraftKings. He is a solid play, in my opinion. He's going to get 20 touches in this game. So I like Montgomery this week. As far as the Bears receivers, Allen Robinson has not participated in practice all week with a hamstring injury that he sustained on the 51-yard catch on Monday Night Football against the Steelers. And that is after a bye week, so that's not a great sign. So we'll see if he can go. If not, Mooney kind of moves up the rankings a little bit as he'd be the main target. And last fantasy relevant guy from the Bears would be Cole Kmet. Obviously, I talked about on the waiver show him as a potential ad. And the Ravens have been terrible against tight ends this year. So if you're in a bind at tight end, he's viable. And
I like it. Yeah.
You want to cover the Ravens side of the ball? Just starting your main guys.
Yeah, so obviously Lamar Jackson is startable. Another guy I was looking at this week, Bateman's been having a solid couple weeks. I think he's viable in that offense. Marquise Brown, he's been decent. I would look at him. What are your thoughts though on their running back situation? I don't know if I really trust any of their. They did cut Le'Veon this week, so that definitely opens up some opportunities for someone. It's just a matter of who's going to get it.
It seems like Latavius Murray is going to come back this week, and Freeman has been the filler. So I'm not really sure who's going to get the carries. I would guess it's probably going to be somewhat 50-50 between Murray and Freeman, which makes neither of them very relevant.
Yep.
But the Bears so far this year can be had in the running game. So if you're in a pinch, you could start either of them as a potential flex option. But I wouldn't expect a very high ceiling from either of those backs.
And then Mark Andrews still having a solid season, obviously.
Yep.
Definitely start him if you have him.
Yep, Mark Andrews. And the thing on Hollywood Brown, he is a little banged up this week. And Jalen Johnson from the Bears, who's graded pretty high in man coverage, he's been shadowing a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if he followed Hollywood Brown around the field a little bit. So I do like Bateman this week. The Bears have been very susceptible out of the slot and versus their second corner, Kindle Vildor. So look for that. Rolling into the next game, we have the Colts going over to Buffalo to play the Bills. What are your initial thoughts on this game?
One of my thoughts is Wentz burned me last week with his 7 fantasy points. Absolutely ridiculous. I think the only dependable guys on the Colts team would probably be Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. I think are the two that I trust. On the Bills, you're just going to start everyone that you would normally. And the Colts, typically, they've had a decent defense to play this season, I think. But I wouldn't pick this week to start that defense.
Yeah, so Buffalo's a pretty tough place to play, and the Bills' defense is definitely solid. Jonathan Taylor has a streak of 100-yard games that he has going. Do you think the Bills are able to limit that enough, or do you think he just stays going ham?
I don't think so, because he's just such a big part of that offense that he's going to get the work that, like, you would have to limit him to less than 3 yards per carry, I think, in order to truly hold him to under 100 yards between the rushing and the receiving work.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think he's going to be right on the fringe of 100 yards. So we'll see. Bills have been the number one defense against fantasy running backs so far this year. So we'll see if he can stay hot. It's a tough task.
And then you have Cole Beasley that's been very boomer bust this season. Had bat-to-bat 20-point games, then had a solid showing against Jacksonville. Somehow got completely shut down by the Jets, but I think that's because the Jets just chose not to cover Diggs, and so that all the work just went to him. So you might see him bounce back a little bit this week as well.
Yeah, I like Beasley a little bit. He's very generously priced on DraftKings too. On the other side of the ball, Pittman, Tre'Davious White has been pretty good at shutting down receivers. It's just a bad matchup for Pittman and Taylor, honestly. But I think this is going to be a competitive game where the Colts aren't just going to be able to pound the rock like they have been. I think the Bills can definitely score on that Colts defense. So I think Pittman, if you have him, he's in your lineup. So even though it's a tough matchup.
Yeah, I think he'll still definitely get the amount of work. I mean, trying to see. They've gone up against some pretty decent defenses, and he's still performed pretty well. But I definitely think you might see a little bit of a lull for him. Indy's defense is tough. Is Josh Allen a must start in your opinion, or could I roll the dice on Cam Newton or something? No, I'd say even against that defense, you gotta go Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen. If you own Josh Allen, you start him every week, regardless of the matchup. Even if he's playing the 85 Bears, he's just a superstar, top 3 fantasy quarterback, and he's proven that he's kind of matchup proof with his ability to run too. So last week he should have had about 5 touchdowns, as all these vulture running backs stole them. So
yeah, I mean Josh Allen has as much, I would argue, as much rushing upside as Cam Newton does, and he can actually throw the ball.
There's that too.
Yeah, that helps when you're a quarterback.
It does. It's a useful tool. All right. Speaking of Edwards, we're on to the Lions game. We got the Lions going to Cleveland to face the Browns. A bit of news I didn't touch on. I probably should have. Nick Chubb still hasn't cleared COVID protocol, which is kind of surprising because he tested positive earlier in the week last week. But his offensive coordinator was on record today saying that it's trending in the right direction, I believe he said. So to me, I personally took that as he had a negative test today, and if he has one more tomorrow, he would be active. But that's just speculation. Hunt also is not coming back, so if Chubb, for whatever reason, is out, Dearness Johnson is a slam dunk play again, both in DFS and in fantasy in general. So just keep an eye on that. I know I have Nick Chubb in quite a few leagues, so definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. Also, obviously, Baker Mayfield's been banged up. He was back at practice today, so I anticipate that he's going to start. Browns really need the game, too. So what are your thoughts on – yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the Browns are starting to kind of enter must-win territory, really. I mean, they're at 5-5, which is last in their division. The division's still for the taking. The Ravens are only up on them 1 game. So they definitely want to win their games. Baker has been struggling. I mean, he's ranked 23 for fantasy quarterbacks right now, so you could probably find a better option. We do have a few questions.
Yep.
Gaston or James? I would say James Robinson.
If you have James,
very, very difficult to predict.
Yeah, even though they're playing the Jets, it's so hard to trust Gaskin, and James Robinson has proven he's involved in the pass game and obviously the running game. So if you have James Robinson and he's active, you probably should start him.
A little bit harder of a question. Tua, Mac Jones, or Justin Herbert? I would almost think you have. I mean, the Chargers have been struggling the past couple of weeks, but I think you almost have to start Justin Herbert in this game.
I agree. Tua has a great matchup versus the Jets, but you never know. Dolphins, like Gaskin himself, are unpredictable, so he's not as reliable in my opinion. Mac has a great matchup versus the Falcons tonight, but I really think that Patriots can get the run game going. So I think his ceiling isn't as high. And Herbert, historically, he's playing on Sunday night. He's been pretty good in prime time. So I'd definitely roll with Herbert. And GGG. If you're not a subscriber, please click that subscribe button and give us a like. We'd greatly appreciate it. And you're welcome here anytime to ask questions.
So my one more Browns question is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Are you out on him? Do you think he bounces back? What are your thoughts there?
Browns pass catchers are so unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that the Lions have been terrorized in the slot this year. So I think Jarvis Landry could be the go-to guy in this one. So obviously the Lions, they're missing Jeff Okudah, and they're very thin in the secondary right now. So they can be had deep by Peoples-Jones. So, I mean, he's definitely flex-worthy in my opinion. Yeah. Would you start him?
I don't think I'd start him. I don't think I would. I do like Jarvis Landry in the slot, like you said. His last 2 games, he was targeted 5 times each against a good New England defense. Had 10 targets up against Pittsburgh, which is a very good defense. So I think Landry could be a solid play here. All right, and kind of we touched on this one a little bit. DJ Goss, how do you feel about Stevenson tonight with Harris back, or should I go with Mike Davis, who isn't consistent? That's just a between a rock and a hard place. We discussed a few minutes ago. We don't think Mike Davis really gets much work at all. We could kind of see Gallman coming in and just taking everything away. Stevenson with the New England backfield, it's so unpredictable. But I think if the option's Stevenson or Mike Davis, I feel like you have to go Stevenson, right?
Yeah. I would start Stevenson over Davis. Davis just does not look good at all. He hasn't been good all season, and I think Wayne Gallman gets the most touches in the Atlanta backfield tonight. So, yeah, if it's between those two, I would roll the dice on Stevenson if you don't have another option.
My advice for the Lions game, start Cleveland's defense, and I'm flexing Landry with no hesitation this week. Landry's definitely a solid flex play. I agree. Cleveland's defense, it makes me nervous just about how bad their offense has been. So they're on the field a lot. But I almost feel like that game's going to be a snoozer. I could be wrong, but Lions. But he has a point. Lions backup quarterback. They still haven't managed to win a game when their starter is in. So playing Cleveland's defense could be a solid play.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, and DJ Goss, we appreciate you asking the question. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us a little bit of love. Just real quick on the Lions side of the ball, really the only two I'm interested in starting, obviously, is TJ Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift. So that's really all I have for the Lions. So let's keep rolling. A AFC South showdown. We have the Texans going to Nashville to play the Titans. What do you think about this one, Ryan? Are the Titans just going to destroy them, or is it going to be a close divisional game?
I think the Titans kind of just roll through them. I really do. The Texans just haven't been able to get it together. The Titans at 8-2, they are leading the division. This would be the perfect week to kind of pull further away from the Colts, or at least keep the Colts at bay. Titans are still managing to win games without Derrick Henry. So I think the Titans, and I think they'll probably win pretty handedly.
I agree. At home, Texans defense has been terrible as predicted. A.J. Brown had a terrible game against the Saints. I think this is a spot for him to bounce back in a big way in a good matchup. So I like A.J. Brown. And then on the waivers episode, we covered Deontay Foreman a little bit. I think he's viable as a low-end RB2 or flex consideration this week. He's just kind of looked the best in that backfield, and we're both speculating that the Titans get up big, and I think he could get a lot of touches in this one. So,
yeah, on the Texans side of the ball, I think the only player I would really be interested in starting would probably be Brandon Cooks, right? I mean, they're gonna have to throw the ball. The Titans getting up early, and Brandon Cooks is kind of their go-to guy.
yeah, I like Cooks a lot this week. In DFS especially, I can just see him getting a ton of garbage time targets and just racking up the points. So I agree. That's really it for that one. I don't really have anything else. You have anything else on this one?
No, not really. The Texans just suck so bad. I don't have any players worth starting. Let's see. Joseph McCann, underdog fantasy, 61.5 yards, Pitts over. Kendrick Bourne, 41.5 yards over. Damian Harris over 58.5 yards. Gage over 40. 30 to win 300 bet. That's a lot of I don't think Pitts goes over six. I don't think Pitts goes over 61.5. I think the Patriots hold him.
Yeah, I don't know what Bill has schemed up for old Pitts, but that's just the time old saying. I don't even know if time old is. I probably just butchered that either way. Bill takes away your number one, and Pitts is definitely the number one right now with all the players the Falcons have out and Ridley still out. So we'll see. I like it. I think it's definitely possible. I think the Falcons could find themselves with a lot of garbage time inside on the dome playing fast. The one I worry about the most is Kendrick Bourne, but
all right, and then we have Kevin. Y'all don't know shit about football. I've been limited at 10 sports books. Well, that's super cool. But feel free to leave voicemails or comments about everything we did wrong and things you disagree with. We would love to hear from you.
I don't think your feelings
also,
matter here.
I didn't think I talked about my feelings, but regardless, feel free to leave your opinions on certain picks or players that you like and give us a follow.
Kevin, teach us everything you know.
Yeah, pass on your knowledge. I'm yearning to learn. I'm like a sponge over here. And also, as Joe said, he does use underdogs and prize pits. Those are pretty fun ones to use on the mobile app. We're in New York, so we're pretty limited on what we're allowed to do, but those two are available. Not sure where you're located.
All right, let's move to the next one. NFC North game. Got the Packers at Vikings. Start your regulars. You're going to start Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams has been banged up this week with a shoulder injury, but I think he's going to go. So, yeah. And we talked about earlier with Sua's question, but A.J. Dillon is definitely a RB1 this week, I think. So Vikings defense is not what it once was, can definitely be had in the run game. So I like A.J. Dillon, Adams, and Rodgers for the Packers. Pretty straightforward. No real surprises there.
Yep.
And what do you think of the Vikings side?
The Vikings, obviously, you have Dalvin Cook. He's a must start. Justin Jefferson, he finally got back involved last week. Had a monster game. I think they look to keep that going this week. And Adam Thielen, I think, is still very viable as well. I think they do enough work in that offense to kind of support all three of those guys.
Yeah, I just worry. I talked about it a little Tuesday. The Packers and their boring offense, just crushing time of possession. But definitely viable. Conklin is viable as well. Especially in DFS, he's still.
Last week.
Yeah, he caught a couple touchdowns. He's been a red zone threat for them. He's kind of stayed involved in the offense. So Conklin, Jefferson, Thielen, and Cook are viable for the Vikings, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I think the Packers win this game, but yeah. Anything else on this one? Pretty straightforward, in my opinion.
No, I think that's pretty good. And Edward Davis, thank you for captivating our exact feelings and thoughts in that comment.
It's loyalty right there. All right, Joe, this one is for you.
Remember.
Clash of the Titans here in this AFC East battle. You got the Miami Dolphins going up to the Meadowlands to play the Jets. Thoughts on this divisional game, Ryan, that probably has you sweating?
Well, I'm really excited because Joe's coming over for this game, so I can't wait to see him cry as his team gets beat by the Dolphins, and he just gets upset. The Jets are in a shocker. Well, I think some people were shocked, maybe somewhere. Our starter Flacco over the great Mike White. So I'm very interested to kind of see what that does. He hasn't been with the team for very long. I think I can still see Corey Davis having a decent game. The running backs will probably still get some work, but the Dolphins blitz a lot, and it could really disrupt their passing game, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going with the veteran, so I don't know. I just randomly have a feeling that Crowder could have a decent game. I don't know why. Just sometimes those veterans click. And I remember him.
Has Flacco played with any of these guys?
Yeah, he played with Crowder, I believe. Joe can verify that, but I know he was Flacco played for the Jets when Gase was there. So I think it was
right.
last year. So he was there. So he knows some of the receivers.
So you might be onto something there for Crowder. On the Dolphins side, I think Gesicki and Waddle are still viable. Gesicki was another tight end that unfortunately put out a goose egg last week, but he was targeted like 7 times, I think. I don't know how you don't catch any of those. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if they were very good passes or not. But he's definitely getting the looks, so I think he bounces back this week against the Jets, who aren't that great.
Yep, I agree. And heckling fandom, if you didn't listen on Tuesday, Joe and I have a huge bet on Jalen Waddle versus Devontae Smith. I have Jalen Waddle. Joe has Devontae Smith. Whoever scores more points, the loser has to read a pre-prepared written apology from the other. So
Kevin says, I think the Jets have a 61.79% chance of winning, and the Dolphins have a 38.21% chance of winning. That's very interesting. I wouldn't think the spread would be that big.
I don't know. What does Vegas have, Matt? He is a sportsbook guy. Miami's a 3-point favorite in this one.
He means the opposite. Okay, so the Dolphins have it. Okay, that sounds right. I think those odds are right.
Yep. Joe says, I'm prepping your speech now. I don't think so, Joe.
It's interesting that Joe says that when he started Waddle in DFS this week, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. I think he's gonna he's in a lose-lose situation here.
What are the chances of a tie? It annoys me so much that ties can happen in professional football. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand.
There's usually one a
year. You have college basketball where they'll make them go to 7 overtimes, but
shout out Syracuse.
Yeah, like I don't. Whatever. That's neither here nor there.
It's not. All right. Yeah. Let's move past this one. I guess we didn't really mention many Jets players that start Michael Carter. Other than that, I'm not too interested in starting the receivers unless I'm in a huge bind. So let's go to the next game. We got the Saints at the Eagles. What do you think on this one, Ryan?
I know if Kamara's out, I'm very excited because Ingram had a very viable fantasy game. I got him first, so I'm looking forward to starting him, and it sounded like Kamara may be out. the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Hurts is very viable. Devontae Smith, I think you're right. I think Devontae Smith has the bigger game. No, Joe said Devontae Smith, right? I think Joe's right. I think Devontae Smith has the
Really?
bigger game. And then on the oh my god, and Kevin says the Lions ruined their perfectly awful season. That yes, they did. They didn't. So they're at least they won back-to-back week. They didn't lose for 2 weeks straight. So they had their bye and then they tied. So it's a 2-week streak of no losses.
The Lions have already completed a perfectly awful season. They just didn't want to do it again. Reminder, they went 0-16 in 2008.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. As far as that though, I mean, and then the tight end for the Eagles, he's been getting a ton of work. Goddard. So I think Goddard, Devontae Smith, Hurts. On the Saints side, I really like Mark Ingram. I'm seeing some people pick up and start Callaway. I don't know if I'm sold on him. I don't feel great about him. What are your thoughts there?
So risky. Just even if he does score, he's not going to have a huge game, in my opinion. I'm not really interested in starting any Saints pass catcher. The running back is really the only one you want to start for the Saints, in my opinion.
I agree.
And then as far as the Eagles, Hurts, I'm a little nervous. The reason I selected Waddle over Devontae Smith, I just think Marshall Lattimore is going to follow Smith all over the field. Did I say Waddle?
Yes.
Marshawn Lattimore is going to follow Devontae Smith all over the field. And has Dallas Goddard cleared concussion protocol? Do you know?
I don't know. And actually, when I said his name, I thought that I had seen something on there. They're saying, let's see.
Yeah, it looks like he practiced today.
Kevin says I got the Eagles as a slight favorite. Eagles 54, Saints 45. I did see that. I think the Eagles do win. I think they edge it out. They definitely have more of a passing game. They have, and I think the Saints have Mark Ingram, and that's basically who they're going to have to work with.
Yeah, it'll be a close game. I just can't pick a team that's starting Trevor Siemian.
Yeah. I don't see. I guess he's questionable. So stay tuned on Dallas Goddard. He was limited Thursday, yeah. So went through warm-ups. We'll have to see.
Yep.
See where they're at.
He'll probably play. He's a tough dude.
Are the Eagles the favorites for this one? Like from Vegas?
Yeah, they're favored. I think by 2 points maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Eagles are favorite. It's in Philly, so.
Yeah, I think Eagles definitely then.
Hurts, Goddard, and Smith. Thing to keep an eye on is the Eagles' backfield. Miles Sanders' window to return from IR is open, so he's able to practice. So he could be back Sunday. I'm not sure if he's ready yet, but just keep an eye on it. If he's not back, Jordan Howard has been very good.
Yeah.
It's like 2016 Bears season. He's averaging like 5 yards a carry these past few weeks. Looking pretty solid.
They have 3 weeks to activate Sanders, right? Since they took him off.
21-day window. So just keep an eye on that. He's viable, even though it is a tough matchup versus Saints D-line. Obviously, running backs are hard to come by. So let's move into the next game. We have the Washington football team playing the Carolina Panthers in Carolina, the return of Cam Newton game. What do you think about this one?
I think, I'm definitely going to be tuning in for this game just because I'm excited to see Cam Newton back. I think what makes me nervous is, and I think I said it previously, is just him staring down, stealing stuff away from Christian McCaffrey when Christian McCaffrey's actually playing. And I think not that Carolina had a ton of viable receivers, but Cam Newton, he didn't really support a ton of receivers back at New England. So that will be, I don't know if I love anyone on Carolina except Christian McCaffrey, and then Cam Newton could be a streaming option with the rushing upside. Joe, a 28-3 comeback tonight. I do not think so, but there is a lunar eclipse tonight, the same night the Patriots and Falcons are playing, and it's supposed to last the longest in recorded history at 3 minutes and 28 seconds. So even the universe itself likes to troll the Falcons and Matt Ryan due to that comeback.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not too worried about McCaffrey. Cam has played with him before, and I know that monster 2019 season that McCaffrey had, Cam was only the quarterback for that season for 2 games because he was hurt all year. But it's not hard to check down to McCaffrey, and whoever plays quarterback for the Panthers seems to be able to do that. So,
do you think
I think
Gibson
it should be fine.
is officially back, or do you
Until-
think that last week was a little bit of a fluke?
Well, he scored a lot of fantasy points, but he didn't. His yards per carry
ton of
weren't
work.
anything crazy. Well, he did. He got like 20 carries. I think he got like 24 carries, but he only
Yeah,
had
but
60.
and I think 9 of those came in one drive in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, 24 carries for 64 yards. I mean, as long as the volume's there, you're starting them every week. I think the bye week definitely helped them out. So,
All right, we got Panthers at 60% and Washington at just under 40.
and as Edward points out, a 0% chance of a tie.
I wonder how much, like, if you bet a prop bet on a tie, the payout's probably insane.
No, I mean, yeah, the odds of a tie are insane.
Yeah. I do like the Panthers here. I just don't like any of their receivers other than Christian McCaffrey and then Cam Newton.
I think you have to start DJ Moore if you have him. And Robbie Anderson is interesting. He's probably dropped in your league because I'm sure whoever had him was incredibly frustrated. But you saw Cam come right in and throw a touchdown to him. So maybe there's a chemistry there. So just keep an eye on what Robbie Anderson does. I don't mind DJ Moore. It can't get any worse than it has been with Sam Darnold. So if they have to throw in this one, I think he's definitely probably viable. So yeah, Moore you probably start.
Carolina does have a pretty decent defense, but I still think you could probably start Terry McLaurin. Antonio Gibson might be a risk kind of thing, just seeing if he gets the red zone work, maybe gets a touchdown. It's worth noting, too, that Tom Brady had 2 or 3 turnovers that game, which definitely helped Washington put some points on the board. So it'll be interesting how this one plays out.
Yep. And Logan Thomas, it doesn't look like he's going to come back. He's still not practicing, so I don't think you'll see him. And Ricky Seals-Jones has been banged up, so McLaurin could get some more targets in this one. So, yeah, start McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. It's a tough matchup, so McKissick is very iffy for me, but definitely start Gibson and McLaurin. Let's keep it rolling. We have the 49ers at the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one. I think the 49ers, you're starting Deebo Samuel, obviously. What do you think about Brandon Ayuk this week? Joe's boy.
I wish Joe was here just to talk about it because he didn't really do much last week. Last week, it kind of seemed like things were finally coming on, and everyone that was an Ayuk fan was getting excited, and then he kind of put out another minimal showing. I just don't think you can start him with confidence. Like, there's got to be someone likely better on your team that you could put in there, I would think.
Yeah, I'm okay starting him. I know. I think Joe's starting him this week. His talent is undeniable. So it's just, will they get him the ball? So I like Ayuk a little bit as a potential flex option, but definitely starting Deebo, definitely starting George Kittle, and Ayuk is it's a good matchup. So it depends what else you have on your roster. But
and we talked about Eli Mitchell coming back. And the 49ers are coming off a big win too, so it'll be interesting to see if they kind of use that momentum and are able to beat a not very good Jacksonville team. I mean, I think they should win this one.
They should. Just sometimes these cross country games can get weird. Like
Yeah.
they're coming all the way from California down to Florida. I could definitely see the 49ers maybe coming out flat and the Jaguars giving them a game. So that does make me like Debo a little bit more in DFS this week. So
On the
Kevin and his
Jacksonville side,
percentages.
70.63 49ers, 29.37 Jacksonville. All
I
right,
like it.
so big favorites for 49ers. Dan Arnold at the tight end spot has become more and more reliable these last few weeks. If you're in a situation where you have a tight end on bye or injured or you need someone, he's proven himself to be very consistent these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's been Trevor Lawrence's favorite target the past couple of weeks, and he is since he's got there, he's just been a target machine. So I think you can definitely start him in this one at home. I would not be afraid to start Dan Arnold.
I would say Dan Arnold and then James Robinson are probably your two starters on this team, right?
Yeah, and if you have to start a receiver, it's probably Marvin Jones. Agnew, I don't mind. He's been the gadget guy for them, and they have to throw in all their games. Jaguars do, so there's always a chance that they pop. So, let's keep moving. We got to make sure you make this game. So we have the as you hear my child slamming kitchen cabinet doors in the background.
Yeah, get those child lots.
All we do, and he just smashes the little space that he can.
Yeah.
We got the Bengals going to Vegas to play the Raiders. Bengals are a 1-point favorite. I'll just cover the Bengals really quick. I like pretty much their whole offense. The Raiders defense does not intimidate me. I think Burrow and Chase could have a huge game this week. And I like T. Higgins a lot. On top of Mixon, who the Raiders have proven to be susceptible to the run. So start your regulars for the Bengals for sure. And what do you think about the Raiders?
On the Raiders side, I think Darren Waller is a definite start. Another guy I've been really liking lately is Hunter Renfrow. He's been coming on pretty good, especially with Henry Ruggs out of the picture now. The running back situation, I don't love it. I don't really enjoy starting any of them with confidence. I know we had a question on Kenyon Drake earlier. And then they did sign Deshaun Jackson, but I just don't think he ends up fantasy relevant this season.
We saw him on full display last week with his fumble.
with his fumble. Why run straight when you can juke and then fumble it? But I think Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow definitely. We do have a question. Bars in the tuck. What's a better option, starting both Harrison and Stevenson or sitting both? I have Darrell Williams, CEH, Jordan Howard, Bateman, and Pollard as options.
That's tough. If you have all those guys, are they all considered for your flex, or I guess I'd have to know that.
Guys, you need one of those guys in your running back position, and then you have a flex option.
Yeah, as far as the backs, go ahead. You go. I'm still thinking.
I almost feel like I'd go Harrison Bateman.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. CH, I don't know if he's going to be back this week or not. I do like Bateman this week. We talked about it earlier when we talked about the Bears-Ravens. The Bears' second cornerback and slot cornerback have been pretty bad this year, so I definitely could see Bateman having himself a game. So,
I'd say Harrison Bateman. And we have another question. Kevin is wondering, what's Joe math? So it's a statistical method that one of the other hosts, Joe, uses, where you take the stats from one game and then you just multiply it by the remaining games, and that's how you project the player's performance. So he really used it a lot at the start of the season. So Mike White, for example, came in and threw for 400 yards in his first game for the Jets. So that means he was on pace for like 7,000 yards is basically how Joe math works.
Yeah. So if a guy has like a 2-game stretch where he rushes for 200 yards, if you follow Joe math, the guy's going to run for 3,400 yards on the season. So that's pretty much it. It's its own thing.
Yeah, it's he's yet to be right, but we're waiting for it.
Yeah.
For it to happen.
Yeah, we're waiting on it. All right, I think we covered that one. Let's get into the highest projected point total this week. It is the Cowboys going to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs in America's Game of the Week. A lot of fantasy relevance here. Why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Yeah. Joe, Kevin's coming to your defense. It does get more accurate after each game, so that is a good point. The more games that occur, Joe math does improve. So by week 17, he'll be pretty on point, I think.
Yeah, he'll have it locked down.
So we are on to the Cowboys Chiefs. The Cowboys. I think the Cowboys win this one. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are the favorites. They got beat in a shocker by the Broncos, but then came out and decimated the Falcons. The Chiefs, everyone's thinking they're back. They got it figured out. They're going to come in and beat the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys win. The Cowboys definitely have the better defense, and I would argue that their offenses are pretty comparable as far as weapons go. The Cowboys, they got Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, who has proven effective. They got a 1-2 punch in Elliott and Pollard. On the Chiefs side, they basically have Tyreek and George Kittle. It's pretty much what they're working with. So I think the Cowboys have a better defense.
Did you say George Kittle?
Not George Kittle. Travis Kelce.
There you go.
And I pulled the Joe.
You did.
So I think the Cowboys have more weapons with a better defense, and I think they get the win. And who knows, maybe Dids on the Cowboys will keep his insane interception streak going. On Joe math, he's going to have 17 interceptions by the end of this season.
Yes. Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it. This is a game full of fantasy stars. You're starting Lamb, you're starting
everybody.
Cooper, starting Dak, you're starting Zeke, probably Dalton Schultz, even though I am a little worried. His targets were down since Gallup came back last game. But I think you still got to start him in this one. And then Chiefs, starting regulars, Mahomes, whoever the starting running back is definitely viable. Hill and Kelce. So a lot of fantasy relevance, but not a lot of complexity when talking about this one. Pretty straightforward.
Yep. One player I'm seeing more and more in the waivers that people are picking up, and he's projected high, which I don't fully understand, is Mecole Hardman. He hasn't done much this season, but he's kind of seen an uptick in interest this week. I'm not sure if something happened or why he's getting more interest.
Yeah, I don't know. Back when the Chiefs they still may be broken, but when they were in that cold stretch, Hardman was getting a lot of shorter targets and just seemed a little bit more involved. But yeah, last week he had 2 catches for 27 yards. I'm not really interested in Hardman this week. So
yeah, and I'm pretty sure the spread on that's like razor thin. I think the Chiefs are like 2-point favorites, which basically makes it a toss-up. Whoever wins that game will probably cover the spread. And I think that covers it. Yeah, like you said, a lot of fantasy relevant players, but very straightforward as far as starting and sitting.
Yep. Next game, Cardinals at Seahawks. We talked about Kyler Murray's health a little bit earlier. We're both speculating that he's probably going to play. Hopkins is more up in the air, I think. But personally, I think the Seahawks get back on track in this one at home. I actually like Tyler Lockett a little bit as a sneaky play this week. I can't believe I'm saying that, but last year Lockett had a monster game versus the Cardinals, and also I like both Seattle receivers in this one. Metcalf's kryptonite when playing the Cardinals had been Patrick Peterson, but he's no longer there. So I think the Cardinals corners can be had by both these receivers. So I think there's some definite fantasy relevance in this one too.
Yeah, and like you said, the Seahawks had a terrible game last week. I think Russell Wilson's going to be looking to bounce back and put up a big game. He's definitely due, and I can see DK and Tyler Lockett both being the beneficiaries of that. How do you feel about Collins in this one?
I saw today that he actually had he was out this practice. What
Oh,
was the
okay.
injury? Let's see if I can't find it. These are all the. I saw the Bears signed Bruce Irvin.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he missed it with. I should have it. I'll maybe tweet it out. But yeah, Alex Collins missed practice today, kind of a surprise. So he could miss this game, and so could Carson. So keep an eye on Travis Homer as I sneak to my phone to maybe add him in a couple of deeper leagues.
how
Yeah.
how do you feel about James Conner or Chase Edmonds or
Well,
maybe Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk?
Edmonds is on IR now, so he's out.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's Connor's show right now. So he's definitely viable versus Seahawks, who haven't been great against the run. And Rondale Moore, I love the player. I hate the situation right now. He's just, even with Hopkins out, he just doesn't get the looks that he should. So, yeah, I don't know. Is there any other Cardinals you want to start?
Not really. In the comments, poor Kevin is trying to teach Joe math. Um, it's a losing battle. We've been trying to teach him English for the past 2 years, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah, if anyone in the comments can give Joe a lecture on the appropriate use of there, that would be great, and save us a lot of headache in the group chat.
There, then,
Two.
Two. I think he gets right. I think. Not positive, though.
Bird, with the comment of the night, Joe, I only like crunching numbers when I'm figuring out how many more ones I have to stick in strippers' ass cracks.
The answer is as few as possible to still be allowed to stay.
You got it down. It's a science. All right. I think, I didn't expect to be talking about strippers when covering the Cardinals Seahawks game, but that's why we are garbage time. Yeah, I think we covered this one. Starting your regular Seahawks. Watch the running back situation for the health of Collins and Carson. So let's keep it rolling. 2 more games to go. We got the Steelers at the Chargers. What do you think about this one?
The Chargers have had a rough showing the past couple games. Eckler makes me a little nervous. He's trying to have a couple down weeks. If you have him, though, you do have to start him. Keenan Allen is a must start. He's looking very good still. Mike Williams, are you officially out on him? He kind of had a hot start to the season, but it's cooled off pretty quickly.
I don't have Mike Williams anywhere, so I've not had to deal with the pain personally. But yeah, he's looked like last year's version of Mike Williams. So I think if you have him, you got to start him. I like him on prime time too, as like your flex guy. I think he's definitely viable there. So yeah.
And then, as far as the Steelers go, I definitely like Najee Harris. Pat Freiermuth is proven more and more to be a solid tight end pick. And then Deontay Johnson is still putting up awesome numbers. I think he's definitely the wide receiver 1 in that offense.
Yep, and watch for Claypool to maybe come back. I think he's probably going to play. Potential flex option. The Chargers have been good against the pass. So I do like Najee in this one to get the run going maybe indoors on the turf. So
70-30 Chargers. Wow. I thought it'd be closer than that.
I'd agree. I watched Steelers, but they should have lost the Bears. #refs, and they just tied the Lions. So I definitely think the Chargers can smack them around a little bit.
Yeah, be a good bounce back game for them if they can pull it off.
And our last game, Ron's Giants quickly reaching crisis mode are headed to Tampa to play Teflon Tom and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do we think about this one?
I feel very bad for the Giants that they have to play the Buccaneers, who are coming off a very tough loss. That was like an embarrassment. I think they're going to come out and just want to hammer the Giants, and I think they're going to. I think it's going to be an insane game. Antonio Brown should be back, so Tom Brady will have one of his go-to guys, so I could see him having a big game. I don't foresee that vaccination card situation really being able to impact this upcoming game. If anything, it would probably be further down the line. So I think the Buccaneers, you start pretty much all their players. Like you said, you pointed out the Giants might finally have a fully healthy team. So it'll be very interesting to see how they can perform while they have everybody starting. I agree with what you said earlier. I think Sterling Shepard's probably the wide receiver one in that offense. And I think that's who you can start with full confidence.
Yeah, Joe's calling the upset. I'm going to disagree with you, Joe. And just a point for our listeners. We talked a lot about Damian Harris versus Ramondre Stevenson. Damian Harris has gotten the first 2 carries for the Patriots tonight. So,
there you go.
But it's only been 2 carries for 2 yards. But hopefully he gets up. All right. I think we pretty much covered it. We didn't really. I guess we didn't talk about the players in this one, but we talked about earlier how the Giants have their weapons back. You're starting Godwin. You're starting Evans. And look for AB to come back. He's hinted at his comeback. I think he probably will play in this one. So he's definitely a viable flex option. Yep, Fournette as well.
Barkley, if he's back, definitely. Sterling Shepard, I think, is a solid play. Evan Ingram might be a sneaky tight end to get there if you're desperate. Although I think there's probably better ones on the waivers. Oh, we got this guy again. I think we had him a few weeks ago. He loves European football, but this just isn't. He's in the wrong football chat. If I come across a solid soccer fantasy podcast, though, I'll definitely let you guys know.
You can listen. We'll teach you all about American football.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't think soccer has ties, so that's one.
No, they definitely have ties.
They do?
Yeah.
I thought they're shootouts.
No, soccer's a big tie sport.
So soccer has no ups on football then. Sorry.
Yeah. I agree. Though Ted Lasso was a good show, so
shows how much I watch soccer.
All right. Ryan, do you have anything else for this one?
Nope. I'm ready to go watch my Patriots secure the W and stay hot on the Bills.
All right, guys, we appreciate you listening in. We love the questions. Keep them coming. Kevin, it was nice seeing some of the money line and betting stuff. I'd have no problem getting into a little bit of that when we're covering the games. So I know Ryan and Joe are in a state that allows you to gamble now. So they've been making their prop bets, and that's been fun to observe.
So, Kevin, feel free to always chime in with the odds and stuff because I'm poor and I need all the money I can get. So, definitely always feel free to put in your input and opinions here.
How popular has MLS League in the United States become this year? I'll say this, as an avid sports fan, no one in my lifetime has ever come up to me and asked me about an MLS soccer match. So I think it's a big thing in like some of the cities like LA and Seattle and places like that where we are not. So yeah.
Is it even on TV? Like, I don't even think I ever even see it on TV.
I think it's on like FS1 a lot, but yeah, not really on any of the major networks. A little bit on ESPN, but
you know what? I'm gonna watch some soccer this week. I promise. I will find a soccer game this week, and I will watch it. So feel free to subscribe, and I will watch a soccer game.
I think Ron watches soccer because he misses all these football podcasts, American football podcasts. So
I mean, he's certainly not studying football with all of his tapes. So
no, he's not. Either way, guys, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get those numbers up. So Let's try and get to 300 subscribers by the end of the season. So we've worked hard for the 200 plus we have. We love you guys. If you're looking to find us, you can find our Twitter page under my ugly face, garbage_time FF. We are on Instagram at Garbage Time Fantasy Football. We are on YouTube, obviously, Spotify, Simplecast, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and I think there's probably one I'm forgetting, but Joe can tell you. So thanks again, guys. Good luck this week in fantasy, and we will see you on Sunday night for a Week 11 game recap. Peace.